All right. Welcome. This is Let's Talk Challenges and How to Conquer Them Your Own Badass Way. And I'm here with the badass to nest badass, most badass. Badassest was the word that was like trying to come
Badass. I
through my
like
brain.
that.
Badassest of the bads, Nika Stewart. So I'm
Hello.
so excited to have you here and for you to speak to my audience
I
about
am
the amazingness.
yes. Well, I am more excited. So thank you so much for having me. I love talking about badassery.
Yes, badassery is the best. And you have such a unique and fun and relatable type of badassery. So can you talk a bit about what got you into this conversation in the first place?
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think I am a bad like I've never that I don't identify as a badass. I usually don't even use words like that because I'm such a prude with my language, but I have always thought of myself as kind of just having a sweet disposition. Not that I'm always sweet, but that's who I am. And, I wanted to be cool and badass, but I never saw myself that way. And then 3 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer and thought, well, that should be fun. And I also didn't see.
Like, wait, what? Like, I love that you were like, okay, how can I go through this in a way? What I'm hearing, and that should be fun, is like, okay, how do I do this my own way and not the typical way?
Yes. What happened for me was because if you've never gone through it, your immediate feelings and thoughts are what do I do and who can I find that can help me emotionally? I mean, I kind of knew where to go medically for the physical stuff, but the doctors don't help you with the emotions and the thoughts that go along with a huge challenge like this. So I went online and I'm looking for support groups and I'm looking for people who have gone through it so I could ask questions, and I found nothing that appealed to me.
Mm.
And I remember it kind of was a good reminder, like a kick in the face to go, Nika, you don't usually follow what other people say. Like I've always wanted, and again, I don't see myself as that way. It's not like I live such a weird, unconventional life that people see me as someone who's so out there, but I do follow my own rules, meaning I don't want to have that traditional family and live in a house with a white picket fence and have a 9 to 5 job with benefits. Like I couldn't be that kind of person. So why would I go through cancer as that kind of person? And
Yep.
I realized I didn't have to. And that was a really good revelation, that I could actually look at cancer as an adventure and do it my own way. And because I did that, I got through it with so much more ease than all the other people who were complaining about it. Like it
Mm.
actually was. I'm sorry, do you hear those dings? I'm sorry if
Yeah,
that's annoying.
I have everything turned off. I'm wondering if that's something.
It's probably someone yes, okay. I'm going to have to shut off. Sorry. Okay, we're shutting off.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, leave page. Okay. Um, so sorry about the distractions, but like cancer was a distraction, and I
I know
decided.
it's kind of perfect. And yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I actually thought, why don't I make this an adventure? And like anything else in life, and the way I see it and my attitude will affect how I get through it and kind of the results of it. And I
Can
truly
you talk a
believe.
bit about there's one of the things I love is that you chose to be really visible in a spot where a lot of people hide. And
Yeah.
especially around the hair loss and around, the effects of chemo and everything you were going through. So can you speak a bit about that decision? Like, how'd you decide to be visible?
Yeah, although I would not say that I would say everyone encourage everyone to go visible when you feel bad and want to hide. There are certain times in your life where it's okay to not feel
Yeah,
good and want to get under the covers. I would not say
yeah,
you have to like, hey, come on, get out of bed and be in front of people. There are times where you feel too icky, where you give yourself grace and be good to yourself and go rest. However, for me, it was part of being visible was that two things. Number one, I felt like the growing up and the culture kind of teaches you don't be out there unless you're perfect. And
mm,
that was always my way. I was taught that um, by my family, by my mother especially. Not it wasn't a bad thing. She saw it as a good thing. Like, don't feel embarrassed by being out there until everything is perfect. But when is everything perfect? So I was always
right.
hiding. And once in a while I'd get out there and then often feel bad because it wasn't perfect, and it would make me not show up and help other people in
Mm.
the way that I knew I could help them because I was waiting to be more perfect. So what a shame, wasted years that so many people are wasting because you have something amazing to offer, a way to lift other people up and help the world, but you're not ready, you're not perfect. So you're just going to keep waiting and you're not making the world a better place because you're still hiding. And losing my breasts and losing my hair and my eyelashes and my eyebrows and feeling sick and looking not healthy, I still wanted, I was like, you know what? This is the perfect time to
Mm.
keep sharing what I have to share. And it turns out that people were more connected because they didn't feel like we can't relate to perfection. And
Oh,
the
we can't.
we can I mean, it's like we want to be like, wait till my hair's good and my eyes good and everything is perfect, the makeup and the outfit. The more perfect you are, the more buttoned up and formal you are, the more people cannot relate and connect. And it's harder to help people and improve the world. The less
Well,
perfect I was, the more people connected.
and it sets up this dynamic of, oh, I can't be that. Like, I want to be that, but I'm not that, so I suck. It sets up.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's like, here I am, no hair, here I am, whatever it is. I mean, I often go live without makeup on. I just happen to have makeup on today. But it's like, here I am. I take pictures with no makeup, no filters, because it's like, this is what 56 looks like, on
Yeah.
this body.
Wow.
And it's like, why should I hide that? So like, how, because to me, I know you don't necessarily self-identify as a badass because of what you said before. To me, that choice and that recognition of the importance of showing up as you were, that's a badass decision, right?
Yeah. Still hard to see that in myself, but thank you.
Yeah. So, because we're talking about, like, how does someone cultivate their own way, their own badass way to confront and overcome challenges. And so
Mhm.
yours looked like, well, I'm going to choose to be visible in a place where I used to hide. And that's a powerful choice. And for someone else, myself included, it could be, I'm going to choose to get under the covers and not show myself and give
Yeah.
myself a break.
Mhm.
And so I want to be super clear about, like, defining badass is not always this thing that we associate with it of, like, brash and visible and loud and me. And,
Right.
the badass choice might be to take a step back, right?
Totally. That's such a good point because when we say, like you said, we said conquer the challenges in your own way. It's nice to see things that work for other people, so you have kind of a blueprint that's proven. But if you don't put yourself into it and customize it for yourself, it may not work, and it probably won't work because it needs to be you. You're the only one who can be you. So
Yeah.
put yourself into other proven systems, make them your own.
Yeah.
And conquering challenges can be a system that you can follow, but again, in your own way. Um, and and there are things that so putting yourself out there like I did may not be for you, but finding joy in the struggle and looking for the humor, and again, all in your own way, those are very helpful things. Using different language for what you're doing, because usually, what I heard, uh, as soon as I found out I had cancer was, well, you're a warrior. You can fight this and beat it.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
not, that did not appeal to me. That didn't work for me.
No. Yeah.
So I did not fight it and I didn't beat cancer. I journeyed through it in my own way. It became a companion. I found the humor and the funny in many situations. I laughed a lot. I I looked for silver linings, like I am so grateful for this, and that's what got me through. But of course that was for me. Like that worked for me.
And was the silver linings orientation, was that something you already had that you applied, or did you have to cultivate it?
Great question. I think what I remember in the beginning was, I used to always say to people, if you're optimistic, life is better. But I didn't feel like I had a right to say that because my life was good. So,
Mm,
like, people would say, "Yeah, but you don't know because you haven't gone through a tough challenge." And I would
mm,
always want to say, "Well, but I do. Like, I go through challenges. You just don't. I just go through them, and I find silver linings, and I'm grateful, and I look for the joy. That's why it doesn't seem like I have a tough life.
yeah.
But I didn't like. But I'm not a badass because I haven't gone through. And then cancer was like, you know what? I'm going to prove that this is true.
See?
It
I'm
is
gonna do
true.
it my way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
So
And
yeah.
so how did your relationships,
Mhm.
since we are talking relationship alchemy always in my brain, uh,
Yeah.
like how did you how did your relationships factor in the sense, I guess what I'm asking, are you a person that you do everything on your own and it's hard to ask for help? Was it a big adjustment? That kind of thing, like what kind of support system um
Yes.
was
It
there?
was as, most, I think, women and women leaders, typically we have trouble asking for support in many different situations, and so I wanna do everything, like, I wanna feel capable, so I don't need
Right.
you to I can yeah, it's nice to get help, but I don't need it, um, and when I had to actually right? It completely changes your life when suddenly you actually need support going to the bathroom, picking up like,
Mm,
pulling my pants up,
yeah.
and taking a shower, um, and laying there and thinking, "I can't do this. If someone doesn't help me, I may not make it." Like, you actually
Yeah.
absolutely need support. There's no
Yeah.
way around not having support, and I think that's a great thing. I think that, um, it's a great so I think that, like, it's the silver lining is if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't realize how beautiful it is to get
Mm,
support and to allow people, because the people who love you want to help you. And if you say, "No, I could do this," they feel
yeah.
bad. So you actually can have a win-win by letting them help you.
That's so
And
beautifully said, because I always say that when you say no like that, like, "No, I got this," or "No, I can do it," you're denying the gift to the
yeah,
giver of your
so nice.
receptivity, of your gratitude, it's like giving is also a gift to the giver when it's
Totally.
received. right? And so when
Yeah.
that cycle gets broken by our refusal to receive, it's not so great. And then we get taken out by cancer, or in my case, 2 major surgeries, 2 years in a row, hip replacements. And it's like, oh, like you said, thankfully nobody had to wipe my ass. That was sort of the line. I was like, I really, like, please God, let me be able to wipe my own ass. Like, I'm not ready at 50 years old to have somebody else wipe my ass. Like, give
Uh-huh.
me 30 years for that, right? I was like, come on, God, just give me 30 years before somebody else has to wipe my ass. Like, but
That's funny.
so thankfully I got to wipe my own ass, but everything else, like, I couldn't. So I relate so much to what you were saying. So in that sense, like, what we ended up doing the second time around, because my partner got overwhelmed the first time by shouldering too much of the helping himself, is we
Hmm.
actually created a team. And I'm sure he made a spreadsheet because he's like a spreadsheet person, but there was a schedule and a team, and friends came in and for several hours, helped me and just brought me food and did what
So
meds and what, they had the medication schedule, like, so that he could actually stay resourced himself. So even in that, it was, oh, what's the support that my supporter needs too? I'm
so
curious if you
nice.
had a similar experience.
And you might have a partner, like a life partner, but there are so many other people who do want to support you. So you kind of
Yeah.
tend to think, and for me, it actually was that I had friends who wanted to help. I had other family members who
Yeah,
wanted to
this is our circle of friends who are coming in.
in the beginning, and then we went into lockdown. This was 2020, and suddenly no one could help me. So
Oh my God. Then what?
we had some nice challenges. Uh, for me, I can't do this now. Sorry. Um, for me, it was kind of fun. I had to look at the fun of it. That
Mm.
number one, the whole world is going through something really challenging. So, middle of 2020, beginning and middle of 2020, the whole world was going through a challenge. And most people had to stay home and were not allowed to go out. Like those were the laws. We couldn't go out and be with people. On the one hand, like people were saying to me, "Oh my God, you're also going through like, how is this? This is horrible." And in my mind, I was like, but I get to go somewhere either daily or weekly, and you all have to stay
Mm.
home. Like, I get to go to a room with other people and get my chemo treatment. And so
Whoa.
I'm lucky. So I get to see other people and have people support me and come over and say, "Do you need some ice?" And it was like, I had to look at it that way.
I-
Um,
I'm I'm floored. Like, that's an amazing outlook.
but that's like it almost was like it was forced upon me. It is what I had been practicing for years, but like I said, I felt like I never had a real excuse to really practice it in a badass way. Like it's easy
Mm.
to say, I stubbed my toe, let me try to be cheerful about it. Going through chemo is a different story. But
Totally.
I'm like, you know what? Guess what? It's the same thing. If you practice
Mm.
it with the little things every day, it becomes more of an instinctual way that you're living. So that when
Mhm.
big things happen, and they do, we're human, we're going to go through big and small challenges in our lifetime. The
Yeah.
big challenges are easy because we practice this badass way of getting through small challenges. Um, but then back to what you're saying. So all of a sudden, like my mom was around, and she in the beginning would come and squeeze lemons for me because water didn't taste good. So I'd have to pour something in it. And all of a sudden, lockdown, I can't even see my mom and she can't come help. And friends wanted to like come over and cook for me, but they weren't allowed in my house. Um, but that meant that everyone got good with Zoom, and I got to like stay in bed and
Mm.
see people. Like I didn't have to get up and have energy. Like it was
Oh,
all
yeah.
reasons that it was kind of like, yeah, I looked at the good things that were happening, and there always was, like, I kind of felt like if you think you're going through something tough, and I'm not being unsympathetic, I know that things can be extremely tough and horrific. there is something in it that's a glimmer, that's a sparkle. And if you can think about that and focus on that, it doesn't make everything else go away, but it is your choice, your thoughts. And
Yeah.
the thoughts that you choose lead to feelings that you want to have instead of feelings that you don't want to have. And that makes the outcomes change, and it makes things just so much easier to get through. So why not choose better thoughts?
And exactly. And why not choose thoughts in the way that you're describing that help you access your own power? Because when you're in a situation that feels powerless, because I imagine, I mean, I haven't personally been diagnosed with cancer. I watched my father go through it and die. But like, um, I, there are moments where you feel powerless,
Mm-hmm.
you know, right? I imagine, at least I watched him go through that. You know, how could this thing be happening to my body that I didn't pick?
Yeah.
And maybe you, because you've done a lot of work, don't have those thoughts much, but somebody else might. And so then you're in a situation, or like one of my clients who's in a situation with her ex, who he keeps just throwing monkey wrenches in important things that are they're trying to sell a piece of property, and he just keeps mucking with it, and she can't reason with him because he's incredibly unreasonable and possibly mentally ill. So it's just a really, like, she feels
Yeah.
powerless in that situation, right? So then what is the choice, even within a situation that seems to have no choice?
Yeah.
What is my choice?
Yeah.
That's the
So
badass thing.
yeah. And I love that you brought that up, because what I've seen is that most people are looking to try to change and choose something in the circumstance or the fact or the event that is not that we don't have control over.
Right,
So I'm sure you work all the time with people. It's like, if only he would change, if only she would change.
right,
And we may not be saying those words or thinking that that's what we're thinking. But in this situation you just brought up, it's like, if only he would not throw those monkey wrenches in. But she has no control over him and what he
right,
chooses to do. So the event, the fact, is something we cannot change. So what we start with is our thoughts about that. And the
right.
thought is always, almost always, like, if he just wouldn't do that. But now we're trying to change the fact. So if we
Exactly.
can choose thoughts so if your thoughts are, this sucks, my life sucks, I shouldn't have married him, that kind of thing, then the feelings are awful. And that leads to choosing actions that are not going to be the most beneficial.
Yep.
But because we can choose the thoughts, what if the thought was something different? And I don't know how, she can choose, it's her way. But
Right, right.
it could be like, what an amazing opportunity to become more of a badass. I would rather have that
Yeah,
thought than, he sucks, my life sucks.
totally.
What other
And right, exactly. And to have the thought, I can choose how I show up to the meeting, right? I can show up in my strength and not get rattled by
Mhm,
what's happening over there, et cetera. Like there's all sorts of things that she is choosing
mhm.
and having a good result with, right? So it's like this is the other piece too that I think you mentioned, it went by quickly and I want to highlight it, is I don't know that we always realize how much how we're approaching a thing influences the result. Like it might
Mhm,
be obvious in a business context, like if you want to have sales, if you're not talking to people, not going to happen, right? You can influence sales by how you behave. But in
mhm.
but in a situation like this, it's like you might actually have different outcomes, like less pain, quicker recovery,
Yes.
etc., not only by following the orders and doing what the PT says, etc., except not only with actions, but also with the thoughts that tap into your power.
Yes. What I have learned and been practicing is that our thoughts, that we have a power over. We can choose our thoughts. And that's what leads to our emotions. And that's what leads to the actions. So if you
Yeah.
want, which is what leads to results.
Yeah.
So I had no power over the fact that I had cancer in my body. And I also knew I have no power over what the cancer does, like the physical. So in the end, something not positive may happen. Of course, positive and negative is a thought, that's a choice. So,
Also.
but I didn't want to die. I
Yeah.
had really, I mean, I had control over my actions, which certainly could influence the fact if I was going to be healthy or not. Um, but ultimately, it wasn't my control what happened with the cancer. However, choosing this is an adventure and I'm going to do what it takes to thrive through it led to emotions that led me to do the things that did get me through. And I think have the better results and have the cancer leave my body. And, so that was, I believe. Now, again, people can have a great attitude and choose to go through something in a what we consider positive way, and maybe the results would be different, but they're still
Right.
thriving through it. And
Exactly.
for me, that was what was necessary. I had no control over certain things, but I had absolute control over my attitude and the actions that I took for myself. Just
Yep.
like in a relationship, if things are we have no control over the other person, but we can choose. Like we can choose a thought: he's mentally ill, and I feel terrible for him. I feel bad. That's going to give you different feelings and different actions than I hate him so much. This sucks.
Right.
So
Right.
different results.
Exactly. Absolutely. And so I'd like to just turn and spend a few minutes that we have left talking about how you turn, like how this shifted what you now do. Because so much of what you do now with your clients and in the world seems to me an outgrowth of this attitude of the way you approached getting, thriving through cancer, as the way, how you showed up because you made yourself visible. Can you say a bit about how that shifted everything that you do?
Yes, and thank you for asking. I've always, I mean, for years, been helping entrepreneurs grow their presence so that more people know about them and they get the recognition they deserve. And the experience that I had going through cancer and still trying to be visible and being as loud as I could be about what I was going through online helped me realize that other people should, I don't know if should is a good word, could share their imperfections and their authenticity and their realness. And that actually does help not only your presence, but your business, if that's what you're looking to do. If you're looking to help other people and sell what your offerings, being real is more effective than trying to be perfect. So it really kind of made me more passionate about the fact that just be you and be the youest you can be, and don't feel bad about things that you think are wrong, because those are the things that people love. The thing that
Yeah.
you are most afraid to share is likely the thing that will attract the right audience to you. So, and it's scary, but once you do it, things become easier. And then new things come up. But please go out there and just share those things that you were taught to hide or that you think you're not supposed to share. Go share them.
Yeah, it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to learn more about you and, get a freebie or connect with your
Yeah.
world, where should they go?
My favorite place to talk with people is on Facebook. So, you
Oh,
see me here,
cool.
connect with me. So just send a friend request, and that's the first way we can connect. I have lots of freebies. I have a group on Facebook. So it's called Grow Your Social. And I
Oh,
have
great.
loads of freebies and videos and downloads in there. So feel free to come join.
Yeah. So connect with Nika if you're wanting to be the youest you can be and build your business at the same time. You know, as I'm listening, I'm also flashing on sort of the dating process and getting to know people. And to me, it's quite similar. Like we are taught all sorts of things of strategies and how we're supposed to be and show up like this and do that. And my encouragement is super similar, you know, be you. Like obviously don't dump every single event of your life on a first date to somebody, you know, be discerning about what you share when. Similarly, marketing is like a first date. Be discerning about what you share when, but be you in the full feeling and tone and expression, because when you do attract somebody, they're going to be a better fit than if you attracted somebody with a mask on.
Yeah. And I have noticed that it's really hard to attract people with a mask on anyway. But like you said, because you're not comfortable, like you're not being
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're not, yeah, and it gets easier. So if you think like this is hard, do it, feel like it's hard, and then it becomes easier to just be you.
Yeah.
And
Right on.
and then the right person falls in love with you and you fall in love with them. And how beautiful.
I know. Exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I just adore you. And I'm so glad we got to have this conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much. And I hope that anything I said was helpful. And I'm sending lots of love to all of you.
Yay. Yeah. So go ahead and friend Nika, check out her work because she's the bomb. And I'll be back with another one of these conversations soon. I'm planning on doing these a few times a month. So stay tuned. More soon. And remember that a great relationship starts with you.